Hello there, it's Sam here, EFT Now. I hope all is awesome and you're probably not here yet, so I'm just going to share this in a couple of places as per usual. Just be a minute or two before we start the live stream on addiction. So I'm just going to share it to my group. Diddly-dee, diddly-dee. Just one moment. Okay, and share it on my personal page as well. Okay, great. So, right, let's begin. I am today wanting to explore this dominant view, which is very apparent in our society, that once somebody has taken things too far for whatever reason and become addicted to a substance, drink, behavior, whatever it is, that they are now an addict for life. And this is really the paradigm of treatment that exists in the mainstream, and I think a lot of people, even in the holistic world, follow this viewpoint that once something has become a problem, welcome, good to see a few people joining. If you're joining, please say hi, please leave a message. Hopefully I'll see the questions coming up, and if not, then I will answer them at the end. Absolutely no problem. So yeah, so we've got this dominant paradigm that when you are basically an addict to a substance, that defines you and you are an addict for life. And this is even seen in the most well-known treatment plan, for example, for alcoholics and pretty much every addiction that there is these days, the anonymous circles. So Alcoholics Anonymous being the most well-known one, and they do a lot of good stuff. A lot of people have been able to resolve things in their lives around their relationship with the substance or behavior that they're addicted to, and that is, that is good. That can be a positive step for many people. It's, when I'm saying that I believe that it's possible to go from an addiction to becoming empowered and actually able to socially enjoy or recreationally enjoy the behavior or drink or substance, whatever it is. Now, there are some substances which I think most people would agree that aren't something that you would get back into recreational, healthy use of. The immediate one that comes to mind, of course, is heroin, which I can't say whether I know whether there would be a viable, recreational, healthy use of heroin, for example. Obviously a very powerful painkiller, which as far as I know, just knocks people out, and although they have an amazing experience or think they have, that is basically taking themselves away from the world for a while. So we're not talking about, there are some things where abstinence is going to be a good solution. And when I look at this, what I'm talking about is not remaining a victim to the circumstance and substance or behavior that has in some way appeared to take control of your life. So why is the dominant paradigm that once you're an addict, you're always an addict? Well, it's because everything is looked at on an individual basis in our society, rather a disconnected basis. So rather than looking at the whole organism and everything that's going on, we see that everything is just broken down into parts. It's the Newtonian viewpoint that it's just individual parts, and the symptom is the problem without actually understanding the root cause. So you've got many treatment plans which are based on battling the symptom. This is actually the way with most health conditions in our society. For example, if you look at all of the literature, all of the everything that the cancer charities are doing, there's often talk of it being a battle. And it's the same with addiction. It's the daily battle to remain clean. I think I will largely explore in relation to alcohol as an example, because it's probably the most well-known and common addiction in our society. And it's possible to have addictive responses to just about anything. There are anonymous groups for all manner of drugs. There's sex anonymous groups, so people who get addicted to sexual behaviors of whatever kind. There's addictions to any behavior that you can have in your life. There's addictions to this stuff, not a particularly harmful one, I wouldn't have thought. So I hope so. Anyway, so that's coffee, of course, and yeah, it's but whether that not necessarily particularly harmful, although it can have some effects, as anything does when it's taken to excess. So by only looking at the symptom and actually trying to break the pattern with the symptom, it's a tiny part of the story. The symptom is what's going on the surface, but there is a root cause going on behind the scenes. So why is there an attachment to a particular substance, such as alcohol, such as a drug, such as a behavior? Why is that? Well, rather than seeing the addiction and the substance as the enemy, I think it helps to view it as a survival mechanism. So a way that the body and the subconscious mind found to actually deal with a situation, whether it is an ongoing situation, a belief, a pattern in life, or a one-off traumatic event, which it is potentially numbing the pain. So, or an example could be, someone who was neglected in early life and they ate to comfort themselves, and as a result of eating to comfort themselves, it might have been sugary foods or something, could have a compulsion towards food. If someone had a very traumatic childhood, and it doesn't have to be any of these things to actually create an addiction. So then you'd be looking at possibly, in that case, something like heroin, where they're trying to just block out the past through absolutely escaping. But again, things like alcohol as well, which numb the pain and might bring you out of your shell. So if your standard state is massive social anxiety because of fears of things that might happen to you, and powerlessness, then alcohol might be a solution that someone had taken on. If someone how could someone get addicted to a behaviour? Then an example of someone who was made to feel insignificant and meaningless in their life, and they might enjoy the status and the thrill and the excitement of becoming, for example, a drug taker, not drug taker, a drug dealer, or a serial seducer, just moving on from one conflict. Not very good. What's the word? Conquest. One conquest to the next, to continually prove themselves to themselves without actually looking at the wound which is holding them in that behavior. So all of those things, all habits, which most treatments are about breaking the habit, but recognizing that the habit always exists forever and will always have control over that person, in which case they need to daily remind themselves that they're a victim and that they are powerless against their habit. And I don't think that's true, because if you are actually able to resolve the root cause, then you are able to, you no longer have the same need to numb the pain, prove yourself to yourself over and over again, stuff down what happened with food or whatever it is. These are just some examples. There's so many reasons that this could be happening. So I think that's very important to know. So it's not just about breaking the habit, but I do think that's an important part of any treatment plan, and especially with some substances do start to get a physical grip on you, whether it's nicotine, cocaine, heroin, obviously, any of the other mad strong drugs such as meth, crack, or anything like that. These are all going to have a physical grip on you, and I just think that most of these, most likely, abstinence is going to be the preferred choice once you move beyond that, once you're able to resolve things. So breaking the habit is one part, for any of them, at breaking the habit, and that could, so in almost all cases, I would say that that's going to require a period of abstinence at least to be able to actually cleanse and release yourself from the physical impact. But that doesn't necessarily have to be all that long to actually get the substance out of your system and be able to then just be, well, it's not in me anymore. So anything that's going on with it now is purely psychological, and therefore it's a need to explore. So then when you get to that stage, and the first stage can be helped very well with things like EFT, matrix reimprinting, just breaking the habit, actually having solutions there. But also there are plenty of mainstream options out there which can be really useful. So whatever the doctor is able to suggest as a solution could be something that's worth checking out. For example, I've got friends who've had good results using the Champix, which is quite a powerful drug with some not very pleasant effects, but it completely stopped them, cut the habit and the physical need for cigarettes when they were trying to give up. And they also did the emotional work using EFT and matrix, and were able to get a good long-term total resolution from the cigarettes. Not only that, as well as resolving the past stuff and no longer having that psychological need to block out or release in whatever way cigarettes do that, it then also has learning as to what these things from the past are saying for you in your future. If you're just joining now, it'd be great if you could say hi, leave a comment, give us a like or whatever, or an angry face if you feel that way, whatever it is. But we're just, And if you've got any questions and I don't see them, then I will answer all of them at the end of the call and over the next 24 hours. So yeah, so definitely breaking the physical habit is a key part. But then the next bit, as I said, is about actually having an understanding that this might be a survival mechanism, so might be trying to block out a bad or a perceived bad event or perceived bad life pattern or something like that. Or it could be the opposite. There is something that's a very interesting phenomenon, and we're always looking for negative or perceived negative events as the reasons that we've got patterns happening in our lives. However, there is a phenomenon called a guiding star, and a guiding star is actually a strong attachment to an overwhelmingly addictive, an overwhelmingly positive event in your past. So these come up a lot with addictions, where the first time someone experienced a substance or behavior, it was amazing. Like maybe they experienced ecstasy and had the best night of their lives at a rave when they were 16 or 18 or whatever, and they were always trying to chase that feeling, and even that might have got better and better over a few experiences as they started taking more pills or combining them with other substances to different highs or whatever. But then if it started to become a habit every week, that's when it becomes a damaging situation. And then you've got a guiding star. So a very strong positive event might be associated with, great times while having, it could be as simple as having a barbecue on a beach, and everyone was drinking when someone was 14 and they had an amazing time, something like that. But the reason these times are so amazing is then you're looking for the deeper reason. What was missing in their life then? What was bad? What wasn't happening? So the alcohol might have enabled them to feel connected when ordinarily they didn't have an ability to feel connected with people. So it could have started associating alcohol with the ability to feel connected. So in this case, the solution for them is going to be starting to look at why they didn't feel connected, and resolving, using techniques such as EFT, matrix, whatever, resolving the reasons that they didn't feel connected at that time as part of the plan. Another one with alcohol could be that someone always experienced, and this shows it doesn't always have to be a horrible event, but it could be that their father was not abusive or anything like that, but he was distant and they didn't see him that much during the week, and the relationship was just dull. They didn't really get much of dad during the week, and then when at the weekend, when he'd been to the pub, came back, he was very happy, and he would treat them. He would say, "Oh, you're my beautiful little one. I love you. I love being with you," and everything. And they might have then. That's another example of a guiding star of a substance, meaning that you become this jolly, happy person rather than a grim someone who's having a difficult life. And of course, as a child, they only saw that dad was unhappy or dad was boring or whatever. They didn't see that he might have had all this stress going on, and they would have taken it on for themselves. So yeah, so it's about finding the reasons why the substance or behavior was either blocking out something bad or got associated with something good that they didn't ordinarily have in their life, and then finding some sort of resolution to that. Okay, so these are so there's some examples, and as with any health condition, because we can treat it as a health condition that is an intelligent response by the body, mind, and energy system to actually create some form of solution to something that didn't exist or did exist in life. Same as a physical health symptom, same as a psychological behavior pattern, which this is. It is a response. So finding those specific events, the unexpected, dramatic, isolating, no strategy to deal with events, finding the beliefs, finding the behavior patterns can give you empowerment and actually enable you to take your power back from the substance or the behavior. Then there's more to it as well. Of course, the resolving physical cravings with whatever means, whether that is through using energy techniques, which can work very well for some people for this. They might need some help from, could be either natural help, such as herbs, or it could be help from the doctor with some pills like the Champix that I talked about earlier for cigarettes. Could be in extreme cases that they do need a spell of rehab to actually get themselves out of that physical craving. And again, in those situations, they're probably not going to go back to becoming a social, empowered user. Although, maybe that's a limiting belief, maybe that is possible. But also lifestyle changes. So looking at ways forwards, I talked about this last week, rather than looking backwards and always just looking to the past. There are lifestyle changes and things that you can change now that can actually support you. So it could be finding social groups that don't drink, finding interests outside. I think it's very common for people for their entire social life to be around boozing, smoking weed, maybe taking recreational drugs, and eventually that can become, for some people, because they've got these underlying unmet needs and unmet values, for some people it's becomes a real problem, and then they are the ones who end up with this addicted behavior. So yeah, maybe there's things they can do, like just some examples off the top of my head, not going to be suitable for everyone, but things like join walking groups, doing a martial art, those kinds of things. Very positive, very social, enjoyable. Exercise, of course, is going to be good because it's going to trigger some of, as well as giving time away from whatever the substance is, it's going to trigger some of the responses neurologically and biochemically in the body, and also psychologically, that could actually replace the feelings from whatever the drug or substance is. So get a lot of endorphins doing exercise. Self-esteem can increase as you associate the exercise with feeling better about yourself, the building up the excitement that you get from it. So having these sorts of things, or maybe things in line for some people who've got values to do with meaningful and purposeful behavior, to be going and doing some volunteering, these kinds of things. So there's real life practical solutions which can serve twofold benefit of keeping people away from the substance that they're trying to change their relationship with, whether that's becoming empowered or giving it up completely, whichever feels more appropriate for them, and that might change as time goes by, of course. And also giving them an increased level of self-esteem, self-perception, self-worth, maybe more confidence. So yeah, so breaking the habit through creating new habits is a key part. Breaking the habit through resolving any cravings is going to be a key part. And really key, which I don't think is addressed often enough, is finding those real significant root causes that are keeping people stuck in the pattern, and I'm afraid will likely manifest in some other way if only the symptom is addressed. So people who are who force themselves to give up alcohol and are craving it every day, then if that is resolving their social anxiety, for example, then their social anxiety is going to remain. If there's powerlessness in there, it could manifest as a thyroid condition in the future, perhaps. It could, if it's about things that they don't want to see, could manifest in eye problems. So, yeah, by not resolving the root cause, people are actually doing themselves a disservice and leaving themselves open that the body is going to continue screaming at them in some way for resolution. So, yeah, I think that is what I want to explore today. I'm just going to see if there's any questions that I can see on this anywhere. Just bear with me one moment. Okay, no, just generally comments, just confirming that people agree, which is great. Great to see everybody here. What I'd just like to say is I am offering root cause analysis sessions based on meta health for health conditions, physical or psychological. And I was charging £300 for those. I'm now doing them for just £100 because I've been working specifically one-to-one with a mental health master trainer to create a more process more in line with me, and I've been absolutely loving them. Clients have been getting good results, so I want to continue that offer much further than I said I was going to. It's going to be going at least in this level at £100 until the end of October for anyone signing up, and this can help you to get to the root cause of any behavior pattern or health condition, addiction certainly being one of them that we could explore. So the interesting thing is that whatever it is, chances are the root cause might have many things, many symptoms coming from it. So by finding it, it can make a big impact in many areas of your life. So just putting that offer out there, loving doing those sessions. And if addiction or any other behavior pattern or problem is going on in your life, I'd love to support you with finding the root cause and also looking at what you can do to really shift and transform that in many different ways. So just to confirm once again, of course, you're looking to break the pattern, break the habit by resolving the cravings or whatever, and changing the habits and behaviors that you engage in. So that could mean more wholesome hobbies and things like that. You may need to explore the route with the doctor. So see what they're able to do to support you with breaking the cravings. Could also be her herbalist, or someone like that might be able to support you with that physical aspect. Exercise, things like that, I think very powerful, very useful for changing your behaviors. And crucially, absolutely essentially, is to find the real specific root cause as to why that's happening, such as comfort eating to cope with the neglect that you felt as in your childhood, using drugs and alcohol to numb the pain of abuse. I think I mentioned becoming a serial seducer to combat your feelings of insignificance that you felt as a child. And yeah, all of these things that I've talked about, so changing the habits, resolving the cravings, creating new positive environment for yourself, and resolving the root cause, can enable you to change the relationship with the behavior and then choose whether you want to have that to continue in your life, and finding other avenues of pleasure, comfort, and love, and ultimately move from a fear-based victim mentality of I'm a victim of this condition, I can never change, I'm a victim, I'm an addict for the rest of my life, to a loving and self-empowered version of yourself. So hope you found that of interest. Anyone who's watching this as a replay, I'll answer any questions that you've got. Just want to say once again, the offer was a root cause analysis session, just charging £100 for those 90-minute sessions, and that's reduced from the mental health analysis I used to do, which was £300. So I'd love to support you. Any questions you've got, just drop them down below, and you can always message me or send me an email at sam@eftnow.co.uk. Right, thanks for being here. That's it, over. Toodle pip.